What's going on, everybody? This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing. You're looking here at a chart of the S&P 500. In this video, we're going to take a look at some important technical levels. We're going to be taking a look at the Nasdaq, at the Dow. We're going to take a look at the triple Qs. We're going to see what's going on and how we can position ourselves for it. Now today the Nasdaq did surge to all-time highs. The Nasdaq 100 officially broke to new all-time highs this morning, surpassing the prior February 19th, 2020 highs. Now there is just one thing though. If you take a look at this chart over here, you will look at earnings per share, forwards, consensus estimates, and they are down, quite detached from current reality. Trade accordingly. Let's take a look at the charts right now together. Now you can see also here the triple Qs did also go ahead and take out February's all-time high. They pierced above it, taking out some stops and then reversing, closing down on the day. Now this is not, we're not calling a top here by any means or anything like that. We're just looking at basically price action, price coming above, taking out the all-time high and then trading off. It's actually quite normal price action behavior. Now, what happens next, that remains to be seen. Is this the beginning of perhaps a little bit of a steeper pullback? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what develops. You could see that the trajectory still here is very euphoric, very parabolic. This thing could continue extending upwards. Careful getting in front of that. Same thing over here on the Nasdaq, right? We're looking at the Nasdaq. We just talked about that. Early in the morning, it took out the February high and then since is now closing lower on the day. Same exact thing. This is not, okay, I want to get in front of this and really look and we're all of a sudden going to roll over now and be looking to test March lows or anything like that. The uptrend is still not only intact, it's super strong. Let's see what happens. Let's see over the next couple of trading days whether or not this possible pullback continues a little bit, or whether or not we are able to shake it off as the indices have been doing and continue trading higher. Now, the Dow closed higher on the day. All right, I want you to take a look at that. The Dow actually closed higher on the day. It's had actually 5 sessions in a row closing higher. Looks and continues to look pretty solid, but it is into some resistance right now. And then the same thing looking at the SPY. You could see that closed higher on the day. Again, also into some resistance. We talked about Dow theory yesterday. We had the Nasdaq making new all-time highs. The S&P 500 and the Dow are both lagging. Now, we're only looking here at the SPY. Obviously, we see all the gaps. You see the gaps in the market. That makes it really difficult to trade. That's why you see it closing up on the session. But if you go ahead and you look at the S&P 500 index itself, right? Let me come back into it right now. You can see that we actually closed down on the day. We actually closed down on this. This removes the gaps, right? You could trade this 23 hours a day using my FX broker, FX Choice. There's a link in the description below. It makes things a little bit easier when you could enter and exit a market at will, not being locked down into certain trading hours. As well, it's really helpful with the leverage offered. Now, careful, check your jurisdiction, see where you're located and whether or not that's open to you. What's the plan right now that we're in the S&P 500 over here? I'm going to drop down to the 8-hour, take a little bit look at the charts over here with you, and you could see that we went overhead. This was back during Asia. We were looking at yesterday. We were looking at London up session, New York up session, followed by where do we start? In London, New York, Asia, London, New York. 2 days in a row of up, and then yesterday Asia was down. I took a short over here as London opened up and then took out the low of Asia. That was overnight. That was at 3107.7, right? Currently still holding that trade with the stop loss where I know I'm wrong. If we come out and we take out the high, that's near 33, I believe. And, do I expect that we're going to roll over here? No, I do not expect that whatsoever. Do I expect that going into tomorrow, perhaps we might see some risk off going into the weekend, seeing the developments happening across the United States? Maybe. I have no idea. I'm really taking this trade simply because we were overextended the first sign of a pullback from this resistance over here. Got me into the trade, like I said yesterday during the live stream. And I have my stop loss over here, which anytime I enter a trade, I have my stop loss in first. That's what I'm looking to do, is protect my downside. As far as any place to take profits, I don't know. I'm going to watch what develops. I don't have a take profit in right now. It would be nice to be able to come down and test this strong support around 29.72. You could see this really strong support over here. Why do I say it's strong support? You could see that over here back in April, it was resistance, and that held for about a week. And then after we broke up, we briefly and quickly came back down. This was a quick wick. The buyer stepped right in. That confirmed it as support. That's where we're at right now. Do I think that will come down here? Well, I don't know. We'll see what happens, right? So this is where I am. Do I want to exit the trade here more or less at break even? I had that opportunity earlier in the session. Let me look at that with you. And structurally, right over here, what are we looking at? How does this look, right? After coming up earlier in the session and then taking a run at yesterday's high and then trading off of it, well, that's pretty good if you're short up here, right? Obviously here the buyers are still in control. The buying has been relentless. Now, when I enter a trade, I enter it for a very specific reason. And I don't exit that trade until one of two things happen. One of three things. Either my stop loss, my original stop loss, is hit or reached. I don't ever exit that trade early. The other way that I could exit as I come into the first area of support. Was this support down over here at 30.96? No, that's not support. The first area of support that I'm looking at is really 29.72. That's a strong level. If we come down into there, then depending on how price reacts, trading is really 70% about how you manage your trade. I'll watch how price reacts, and then maybe I'll take profit there. The other thing that I will do is if we come down and we test, the 30.20 level, at that point I'll move my stop loss probably to break even or even locking in a little bit of profit, depending on what the situation is at the time. But right now I'm holding the trade and just going to see what develops. Tomorrow's Friday. Right? What do we have tomorrow? We have non-farm payrolls. Now, for going back, it seems like a month now. Every time non-farm payrolls came in and those numbers come in worse than expected or rather atrocious, we see the markets rally. Why are the markets rallying? The markets are rallying because they expect more stimulus. Anytime there's bad news, the markets expect more stimulus. Now, I'm not really concerned with what the headline number is tomorrow. I'm concerned with how the market reacts off of that number. That's what we're going to look at together tomorrow. We're going to see whatever the number is and then watch how the market reacts off it. And that's going to give us our clue to what the tone of the market, what the market's focused in on, and then what's next. So if you're not in a position right now, the sidelines remains a very good position. I know a lot of you feel that you need to be invested. That's not the case at all. You want to be looking for the right time, the right opportunity to get involved. Now, we looked yesterday and we talked about that, exactly what we thought was going to happen. We thought that the Nasdaq was going to go ahead and actually be able to make a new all-time high. And then we said probably trade off. Now, it's only off a little bit. If you take a look at what's going on over here and you could just give yourself a little bit of a guideline, right? You could see that we continue within this channel. We haven't come close to breaking down outside of that channel whatsoever, right? Now, is it possible? Yeah. If it's possible, if we do start breaking down, then we could actually, we could see a little bit really of a further pullback. I'm not looking for that. I expect the markets are going to continue to go on to post new highs. If they do, if the markets are able to go ahead and break out to the upside, at that point, then it really becomes about looking to lean into any type of support and to continue to look and play the long side. This is a big month for the markets right now. June is a really big month. I believe, well, we have a lot of moving pieces right now, of course. Market is definitely shaking off anything that's going on with China right now, but those tensions are definitely building. Those are storm clouds on the horizon. What I'm worried about is it that we see a lot of bankruptcies and solvency becomes into question. If the conversation starts changing, as well as earnings are going to be up on the horizon, these two things could actually affect what's going on. The market could snap back to reality because right now it's not trading off of reality. It was an overextended move to the downside and it's been an overextended move to the upside. How long will that continue? I don't know. Markets could remain irrational, right? It's not a question of trying to feel like my fundamental view is correct and the markets are wrong, therefore I'm going to trade against it. Not at all. Actually, you want to be on the right side of the market. Well, let's look at this with the Nasdaq making all-time highs. And then let's look at what's going on with the Dow Jones over here. That's not even close. It's not even close to making new all-time highs. It's got a lot of resistance over here that it's currently coming up against right now. Same thing with the S&P 500. Same thing with the S&P 500. Is not close to making new all-time highs. Why the Nasdaq is. What's the next move? Well, we're going to wait and see. Tomorrow's Friday. We're all getting together at 9 o'clock in the morning. It's so beautiful to see all the comments, right? And they've been piling up lately about really people whose trading's been affected. And guaranteed, if you spend some time with us during the live streams, when I say some time, give it one session and you'll understand it's a good place for you to be. Start spending a few weeks there. All of a sudden, you're going to really understand what's going on, what you need to do, and what you need to work on. Start spending a few months. Obviously, the training course helps a lot of traders. The results speak for themselves. But either which way, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.